Burma's ruling generals have announced that a constitutional referendum will be held in May, followed by general elections in 2010. But the news has been greeted with scepticism here. The Australian Burmese Association claims it is merely another smokescreen being put up to shield the brutality of the ruling regime.
Burma has had no constitution for the last 2 decades and has been under military rule since 1962. The ruling generals annulled the 1990 election won by Aung San Suu Kyi's opposition party, the National League for Democracy, or NLD. The announcement coincides with the first ever meeting of Burmese activists in Australia. It gave those participating in the Sydney gathering plenty to discuss. They see this latest development as merely a way of boosting the general's image on the international stage.
We have seen it in 1974. They organised a stage-managed referendum and elections to legitimize their rule. So this time they would do similar actions again.
The Burmese people have been told they'll get a chance to vote on a referendum this May on a new constitution and in a general election in 2010. This development comes 4 months after the army crushed a series of pro-democracy protests, officially killing 31 people. Human rights campaigners claim the death toll was much higher. Since then, economic sanctions against Burma have tightened. It's still not clear if the major opposition party, the NLD, led by Aung San Suu Kyi, who's spent 12 of the last 18 years under house arrest, will be allowed to take part in the forthcoming elections.
International community have a responsibility to oversee this referendum and elections to ensure that it is democratic. It is a very important time for Kevin Rudd to use his good relationships with regional powers, particularly Chinese government, to push the Burmese generals to go to the negotiating table with Aung San Suu Kyi to solve the political problem by peaceful means.
This latest roadmap for democracy by the military has been widely dismissed by some observers as a sham. Aung San Suu Kyi has had recent talks with military rulers but remains concerned that political reform is a long way off. She is repeating demands that talks must involve pro-democracy groups and representatives of Burma's ethnic groups. Carolee Katsimbarnas, World News Australia.
Later in the bulletin, Burma expert Monique Skidmore from the Australian National University will tell us more about the developments announced in Rangoon.